Okay, good afternoon and okay. Sorry about that. So good afternoon. This is City of Riverbanks meeting today. It is our community meeting specifically regarding Stanislaus Urban County and Home Consortium Consolidated Plan presentation. So we will start with introductions. My name is Tammy Alcantar. I am the Assistant City Manager here. And
My name is Letty Ibanez, and I'm the housing specialist for the city of Riverbank.
so then next on that, we will go ahead and start with our presentation. If you are attending via Zoom, when we have our open comments, please feel free to raise your hand and we can answer any questions that you might have. So with that, I'm going to let Letty start with our presentation.
Hello and good evening. Our presentation is going to be based on our fiscal years, the CON plan for Stanislaus Urban County and the Home Consortium Consolidated Plan presentation. And on the next slide, you'll see that we have the cities that participate with the Stanislaus County, the Stanislaus Urban County and Home Consortium Consolidated Plan. These are the cities that all participate with and the Urban County and Home Consortium. So for the agenda for today, we're going to be discussing the overview of the 25-29 Consolidated Plan effort, the needs and analysis of the community engagement result, consolidated plan goals, additional engagement opportunities, and then we'll leave it for questions. So just to go over the overview of the consolidated plan effort, we will briefly touch on what the consolidated plans or CON plans are, what we are trying to achieve, and the anticipated federal funding sources that the county and the other jurisdictions associated with this effort are anticipating to receive in the next CON plan cycle, and some examples as to how this funding would be utilized. The needs analysis, we like to share some of the key initial results from our tech data analysis and the results from the ongoing community engagement. Additional engagement opportunities. We will also provide a brief update on additional engagement opportunities in the near future. And questions, and we'll have the questions at the Q&A session at the end. Grantees throughout the United States are eligible to receive federal funds, and we will talk about those federal funds in a moment. But in order to receive those funds, grantees must prepare a consolidated plan. The consolidated plan is a planning document required by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, aka HUD, that is updated every 5 years in order to receive federal funding. The consolidated plan serves as a framework planning document for a community-wide dialogue to identify the top housing needs, community development concerns for low and moderate income populations, and to set informed priorities for actions and use of funds. We are initiating the work to be completed to complete the 25-29 consolidated plan, which is out now for a 30-day public review and is anticipated to be submitted to HUD by May 2025. Feedback gathering during the stakeholder consultation process, such as today's meeting, is used to inform priority needs, goals, and other section of the consolidated plan. So we have described in general what a consolidated plan is and how it helps to identify priority needs and specific goals over a 5-year period that aligns with HUD funding programs. On the slide, you would see that it's broken down with a consolidated plan every 5 years, and the annual action plan is annually, and the consolidated annual performance evaluation report, which is known as the CAPER, is done annually. The consolidated plan is carried out through annual action plans, which are prepared annually and provide a summary for the actions, activities, and specific federal resources that will be used each year to address and implement the priority needs and specific goals identified by the consolidated plan. And then the consolidated annual performance and evaluation report, which is known for the CAPER, is prepared annually to report on accomplishments and progress toward the consolidated plan goals. In some instances, jurisdictions will prepare their own consolidated plan for their single jurisdictions. In other instances, jurisdictions come together to collaborate and prepare a joint consolidated plan and pool the resources and efforts to address shared community development challenges. In order to receive HUD funding, the Stanislaus Urban County and the City of Turlock have prepared a joint 5-year consolidated plan for fiscal years 25 through 29, which will serve as the blueprint for expenditures of federal funds in the communities of Ceres, Houston, Newman, Oakdale, Patterson, Riverbank, Turlock, Waterford, and the unincorporated areas of Stanislaus County. Stanislaus Home Investment Partnership Program, known as HOME Consortium. The members of the consortium are Stanislaus Urban County and the City of Turlock. Stanislaus County is the lead entity for the Stanislaus Home Consortium. Stanislaus Urban County, a multi-jurisdictional CDBG and ESG entitlement made up of cities of Ceres, Houston, Newman, Oakdale, Patterson, Riverbank, and Waterford, and the unincorporated area of Stanislaus County is the unincorporated area of Stanislaus County. Stanislaus County is the lead entity for the Stanislaus Urban County. The City of Turlock is an entitlement jurisdiction for Community Development Block Grant, known as CDBG, just for the City of Turlock. And the City of Turlock will report home activities undertaken with the remaining fund received by the prior home consortium under their own separate annual AAP. The next slide shows the Stanislaus County fiscal year estimated CDBG home and ESG allocations. During the 5-year consolidated plan period, the Stanislaus Urban County expects to receive approximately $2,305,008 annually in CDBG funding for a 5-year total of $11,525,040. $205,225 annual in emergency solution grant known as an ESG funding for a 5-year total of $1,026,125,000. $1,262,718 annually in home funding for a 5-year total of $6,313,590. The total fiscal year for 25 through 29 estimated CDBG, home, and ESG allocations are shown on this slide, along with a general description of specific uses of the HUD funding programs. Community Development Block, CDBG, is a cornerstone of the affordable housing and community development industry to serve low moderate income persons. This funding can support a wide variety of activities, from infrastructure to economic development projects and services to the community centers, affordable housing acquisition and rehabilitation, just to name a few. CDBG community block grants through the HUD exchange. The Home Investment Partnership, which is known as HOME, it provides funding to a range of activities, including building, buying, and/or rehabilitating affordable housing for rent or for home ownership, or providing direct rental assistance to low-income people. It is the largest federal block grant to state and local governments, designed exclusively to create affordable housing for low-income households. The ESG, known as the Emergency Solution Grants, ESG is designed to assist people to quickly regain stability in housing after experiencing a housing crisis and/or homeless. So, for example, it provides funding to engage in homeless individuals and families living on the street and to rapidly rehouse them. It can help improve the number, quality, and operations of emergency shelters for homeless individuals and families, and provide funding to support homeless management information system, which is known as HMIS. As you can see, there's a lot of flexibility built into these funding programs, which enables the grantee in this collaborative community and engagement process to have a fair amount of flexibility in establishing the top community needs and use of these funds for low and moderate income populations over the next 5 years. During the 5-year consolidated plan period, the City of Turlock expects to receive approximately $621,000 annually in CDBG funding for a 5-year total of $3,105,000. The City of Turlock will report the home activities undertaken with the remaining funding received by the prior home consortium under their own separate annual AAP. The city is estimated to receive home program income of $110,000 per year for a total of $550,000 during the 5-year consolidated plan period. In addition, the city has approximately $6 million in carryover funds related to home activities approved under the city's prior 24-25 annual action plan, the AAP. Any changes to the city's prior 2024-25 AAP annual action plan for home funds will be done through the city's 2024-25 AAP through a substantial amendment as appropriate. So the next slide is we'll talk about the steps in preparing for the 25-29 consolidated plan. So before we begin to dive into the needs and analysis of the anticipated consolidated plan goals for 25-29 consolidated plan, we'd like to highlight the major steps in preparing the consolidated plan thus far and what is anticipated in coming months. The consolidated plan effort was initiated in December of last year with a technical analysis, which is still ongoing and will be updated to account for input for the community outreach efforts. Then in February, a community survey was circulated in February 25th, 2025 through March 18th, 2025, where approximately 188 responses were received. We will share some of those key takeaways during today's presentation. Today's community meeting is just one of the several that the county is undertaking in the near future. The draft consolidated plan was circulated for a 30-day public review period on April 4th of 2025. Following the community meetings in April and the public review period, the final drafts will be brought to final public hearings in May for approval. The Joint Consolidated Plan and the Stanislaus Urban County AAP and the City of Turlock AAP are then anticipated to be submitted to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development in May, known as HUD. The next slide is that we'll talk about the technical needs of analysis. So we mentioned the consolidated plan serves as a framework planning document to identify the key needs in the community. We broadly broken down the needs of analysis into 4 main categories. The first category is affordable housing, and that was examples of building new affordable housing, providing vouchers to households, and et cetera. The community development and services is community and neighborhood centers, street improvements, legal services, public facilities, infrastructure is part of this category also. And then is economic development, broadband access. That's an example of employment training, digital literacy, et cetera. And addressing homelessness. That's an example of shelters and programs and services needed to reduce recidivism and drug abuse, and et cetera. In the subsequent slides, we'll discuss these in more detail and provide key data points for our technical analysis as well as summary feedback received therefore thus far from the community engagement process. So the next slide, it says, what is affordable housing? So before we describe the needs for affordable housing, it is important to first define what affordable housing is, as it is often misunderstood. The United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, defines an affordable dwelling as one where a household pays no more than 30% of its income on housing, which is known as the 30% rule. Households that pay more than 30% are cost burden. Households that spend over 50% of their income on housing are considered severely cost burden. Eligibility for affordable housing is impacted by the area median income and funding sources. HUD annually calculates the area median incomes, or known as AMI, for the county of Stanislaus. These benchmark metrics are important because they shape affordable housing programs such as the low-income housing tax credit, known as the LIHTC program, the primary funding source for affordable housing development in the United States. Renter eligibility under HUD and LIHTC programs is determined by 3 fixed tiers of household income. Those fixed tiers are extremely low income at or below 30% AMI, or very low income at or below 50% of AMI, low income at or below 80% of AMI. On this slide, you'll see the income thresholds for the household count from 1 through 4 for the Stanislaus County income limits. So this table reflects the county's area median income limits, which can help visualize a couple of scenarios as to how a household may or may not qualify for an affordable housing unit. Every year, the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development releases average incomes for each metro area in America. So for example, a single person household earning $31,000 a year falls within the 31% through 50% AMI bracket. And this household income could qualify for a LHITC funded affordable housing unit. So for example, for illustration purposes, is a four-person household earning a total income of 45,000, which also falls within the 31 through 50% AMI bracket, would also be considered lower income. So for the affordable housing data analysis, the household characteristics that are most likely linked to housing instability and increased risk of homelessness are household income and cost burden. Households that are both low income and cost burden are the most vulnerable because these households have the least capacity for saving income towards addressing emergency situations that may arise. The lowest income household altogether experience cost burden at a significantly higher rates. Cost burden refers to households spending more than 30% of their income on housing costs. So as you can see here, among all the households in the county, the rate of cost burden is nearly 80%. And for those earning up to 30% of AMI, and those earning 30 to 50% of AMI. This is a much higher than the cost burden among the 50 through 80% AMI households and up. This means that 4 out of 5 households earning up to 50% AMI a cost burden. Even more pressing is the high rate of severe cost burden among the lowest income households. Severe cost burden refers to households spending more than 50% of their income on housing costs. That is shown in blue, with about 68% of households earning up to 30% of AMI being severely cost burdened, and nearly half of those earning 30% to 50% of AMI. With many of those being severely cost burdened, those are shown in the blue. And while we don't show the details of homeowners and renters here, this distribution is similar for both groups, with slightly higher rates of cost burden among renters. County and participating jurisdictions of the urban county and city of Turlock. So funding. Excuse me. Racial, for slide 14, for racial and ethnic concentrated areas of poverty. Racial or ethnic groups often have disproportionated housing needs within the county as well. There are 8 racial and ethnic concentrated areas of poverty. Census tracts within the Stanislaus County, which overlap with the city of Modesto, which is shown in blue on this map, city of Ceres, which is shown in green, and the unincorporated county shown in white. RECAPs are neighborhoods with high poverty rates. 40% or more of individuals living at or below the poverty line, and a large population of people of color, a non-white population of 50% or more. Residents in these neighborhoods may often find it more difficult to improve their economic situation. It is important to note that federal funding associated with this consolidated plan can only be utilized within this jurisdictional limits of the urban county and the participating jurisdictions of the urban county and the city of Turlock. So funding cannot be utilized in the city of Modesto. For economic development broadband. Another important facet of this consolidated plan needs analysis is to examine economic development and broadband internet. And an important part of the Stanislaus Region Economic Development Strategy is workforce development and education. Therefore, some important data we want to present here is around working population aged 25 and older. Specifically, the consolidated plan examines the share of this working population in educational attainment. Less than high school graduates, people with college education, those with bachelor's degrees, and those with graduate or professional degrees. You can see the orange bars that most of the county's working people have high school degrees, 30% or more, or some college education, about 32%. 12% have a bachelor's degree, and about 5% have a graduate or professional degree. At the same time, we examine the median earning by educational attainment, shown on the county and participating jurisdictions of the urban county and the city of Turlock. So funding cannot be utilized in the city of Modesto. Oh, okay. In the blue line, among all workers, the median annual earning was about $39,000 a year, but this varies widely by the educational attainment. For those with less than high school, it is about $27,000 a year. The median earnings for a high school graduate is about $33,000 a year. For those with some college, about $40,000 a year. A four-year college graduate earning a median of $62,000 a year. And for those with graduate or professional degrees, earning a median of $87,000 a year. So clearly, there's more workforce development than educational attainment, and the consolidated plan discusses the three major priorities. Grow and development workforce to strengthen core and growth clusters. Increase work readiness and skills. Explore ways to add capacity and technical skills training and entrepreneur support and development with public and private partners. For strength, infrastructure or core and growth clusters. Water and wastewater. Electrical capacity for high demand industry and consumers. Rail and road transport. Air transport services. The next is support economic recovery, resilience, and opportunity for all. Support manufacturing and export. Improve network and internet availability and reliability, and with redundant and resilient fiber optic network. Upgrade countywide disaster planning considering the impact of COVID-19, including but not limited to. Support job insourcing, keep sustainable jobs in the USA. Support higher quality of life developments. The next slide is addressing homelessness. To help prevent and end homelessness, this consolidated plan needs to understand the existing homeless population, which is represented by the annual point-in-time count. The point-in-time count, known as the PIT count, is a count of shelter and unsheltered people experiencing homelessness on a single night in January, required by the federal law to receive homeless services funding. This count is planned, coordinated, and carried out in the local communities through the country, including in Stanislaus County. It is well known that the point-in-time count does not fully capture the number of people who experience homelessness, but rather offers a snapshot in time for annual comparisons and observing trends. The latest data available is from the 2024 point-in-time count. That count is found about 2,052 people experiencing homelessness. This number held steady in the blue line. Among all workers, the median earning about 39 a year but this varies widely by, I'm sorry. Excuse me, to compare, let me see. Okay, I'm sorry, this number is held steadily compared to the previous years and has closed about 2,000 people every year since 2020. This year's point in time count found a nearly even split among shelter and unsheltered homelessness. Sheltered people refers to those living in emergency shelter, transitional housing. Unsheltered people include those living on the street as well as people living in cars and RVs. The next slide is community engagement updates. This engagement meeting is part of a range of community engagement efforts conducted as part of the consolidated plan process. The community outreach process for the consolidated plan included a survey of the Stanislaus planning area, online community meetings, stakeholder interviews, and in-person community meetings, agency phone and email consultations, and consultant with a local consortium of care. Draft documents were made available to the public via the county's website at the offices of planning and community development departments of the respective consortium members, and was emailed directly to no interested parties by the consortium staff. The community survey had 188 responses, reflecting a wide range of input from the community members. And we have more than 20 community meetings planned in the upcoming weeks. For the community survey demographics. This slide has some details about who we heard from the community survey. Participants live throughout the county's 5 supervisory districts. The largest share, just over a quarter, are from District 1. Then about 24% are from District 5. 20% are from District 2. 19 from District 4, and 8 from District 3. In terms of income, 42% earn below the countywide area income. 29% are bilingual, speak in another language than English. About a quarter have some form of disability. Just over half identified as white, non-Hispanic, and just over a third identified as Latino and Hispanic. 71% of respondents were homeowners, meaning just over a quarter were renters. The next slide is the community survey's top 5 most important topics. Looking more specifically, we heard these 5 topics as being most important in the community survey. Seniors, families, and individuals with disabilities, as well as more homes for ownership. Less shelters, prevention and outreach programs, and supportive housing. Emphasizing support for domestic. For domestic violence and elder abuse victims. People noted the need for increased outreach and support services for victims of domestic violence and elder abuse. Prioritizing parks, recreational facilities, healthcare, and youth centers. Another important issue was the need to improve infrastructure, particularly for transportation. This included many safety improvements, especially for pedestrians, such as sidewalks, and street lighting, as well as roadway improvements for auto travel. Next, we'll dig a little deeper into each of these categories to highlight specific types of projects that the community members indicated a need for. Results, affordable housing. This slide shows with specific areas within the affordable housing category that had a lot of support in the survey. Almost half of the people emphasized the need for more affordable housing for seniors. 42% said there's a need for more affordable homeownership housing and more affordable housing for families. 36% said there's a need for more affordable housing options for people with disabilities and for help buying a home. Results for economic development. There were some economic development projects that were identified as significant needs by the community members. More than half said it is very or extremely important to support. Results addressing homelessness. When asking about actions to address homelessness, there was substantial support for the actions shown on this slide. 71% of respondents said it was very or extremely important to support. Results for the community development and services. The survey also asked about the community development services, including several shown on the slide. The 4 services rated highest in the importance were they're loaded. Yes, they're noted on the slide where it's trash and debris removal, 23%. Youth activities were 22%, and anti-crime programs, which was 13%, and health services, 9%. The next results would be public services. The last category of feedback was around public services, which has also had a lot of support of being very or extremely important. The highest rated public services were over 55% of respondents rated public services as very to extremely important. The highest rated services were crime prevention, 85%, child abuse prevention, 84%, medical and dental services, 79%, senior services, 76%, drug abuse education, 76%. The next slide is the draft consolidated plan goals, and all are equal importance and in no particular order. So based on the feedback and data analysis so far, the draft consolidated plan identifies these 5 goal areas. Support affordable housing and promote accessible housing options. Work to address, prevent, and mitigate homelessness. Improve public infrastructure and facilities. Provide and ensure access to essential public services. Administration, which refers to how these funds are administered and ensured compliance with federal requirements. The next slide is Stanislaus Urban County and Stanislaus Home Consortium Annual Action Plan funding goals. You can see that the goal name is, one of them is to improve public infrastructure and facilities. And the start year will be like 25, fiscal year 25 through fiscal year 29. The next one is provide and ensure access to essential public services. Work to address, prevent, and mitigate homelessness. Support affordable housing and promote accessible housing option. And the last was administration. And you'll see that the funding allocations noted on there. The next slide is the City of Charlotte Annual Action Plan funding goals. As shown on the slide, you'll see the same goal names and the allocations noted on there for them. The proposed CDBG projects. Stanislaus Urban County CDBG funds. As you can see on the slide, there's it has the projects listed and for the cities and for the county. And for the city of Riverbank, we have two of our projects listed, which they're Texas Avenue and Kansas Avenue sewer improvement projects. And we have a Pioneer Park improvement and ADA updates. The next slide, we put together the projects. So for the Texas and Kansas Street sewer improvement projects, those are the location of where the sewer improvement project would take place. And for the Pioneer improvement and ADA updates, the improvements will consist of with the American Disability Act ADA updates of the following enhancements: improving the concrete pads, replacing the existing path with an ADA accessible concrete path, new concrete pad for the picnic tables, including one for an ADA, installation of hardscape around the new ADA compliant to the playground, and installation of new park furnishings. Landscaping and sprinkler repairs and assessment and modifications of ADA to ensure accessible parking spaces. So this has concluded our presentation. We can open it up for any questions. Just want to note that the draft consolidated plan for the fiscal year 25-29 in the annual action plan link can be found on our website under the housing program.
Yeah, no questions online that we see, and we have none in our auditorium. But I will make a note that this recording was also aired on YouTube, so it will be available on YouTube if you sat in on this and want anybody else to see it. But if you have any questions, you can reach out here to the city, and Letty or I are more than happy to take your comments on our proposed projects, or we can pass them on to the county regarding any of the other projects that were listed here. Or if you just have general questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Our main line here in the office is 209-863-7122. We thank you for those that participated today. And again, we are looking for feedback, so please reach out if you have any questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you.